Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Itaya, and it's such a pleasure to be here once again. Today is Friday, the 12th of March, 2021, and we're going to be having a great time together. It's a great morning. It's always a great morning. It will always be a great morning for you, for me, for all of us on the Good Morning Education Show. And this is a show that we're streaming from Lagos, Nigeria, to West Africa, to Africa, to the entire world. And it's always a pleasure to have you here. And of course, to share the day with you. It's always a show that goes on from Mondays to Fridays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. We come your way. We talk about things you need to hear within and around the world of education. We share our thoughts, we share our perspectives, we share our knowledge, we share exposure, we share our expertise as well. And when we do that, we also welcome you to share and contribute in the conversation of the day. And we do not stop it at that point. We even allow questions to be asked. And then when we answer questions, we always ensure that it's always a learning moment for everyone. Please feel free to contribute on the show. But before then, tell us your name, tell us where you're streaming from, your location, tell us if it's your first time. And trust me, if it's your first time, there's something I have, a special thing I have for you. It's called the Bell of Blessing. We're going to ring the Bell of Blessing to you and for you, and to make sure that it's always a great morning for you whenever you come to the show. If you know someone, and you know someone that knows someone that should be on the show, please get to notify them that the Good Morning Education Show is on, it's live. Let them be a part of it. And of course, please do not forget, you can always watch the replay. But after that, we need to always stress this point. We always discover that most people watch and then they go. But I would like to encourage you from today, first things first, subscribe to our channel, the YouTube channel, subscribe to our channel, and then please follow all our analysts on their social media pages. We have Titi Adeusi, we have King Falolu, and Falodun, we have Grace Amoka, we have Eben Ebenezer Odetola Israel, we have Jude Ashedu, we have Okenfo Ajayi, we have Safety Chick, that's Ugochi Obidegu, and we have, who's the person I'm missing out now? We have Ifyok Ikagu, our last one, and also we have Rhoda Odigbo, the curriculum queen. Please follow them. They're on social media on all platforms. Facebook, they are there. Twitter, they are there. Instagram, they're there. And of course, they have their YouTube accounts and also they have their websites as well. So please ensure that you connect with them because you will learn a lot from these wonderful people. I call them wonderful because they're amazing people and they are my friends and we work together and I see the quality of output that comes with them. But not just that only. Like the videos, share the videos. Don't just subscribe to the channel. Like the videos, share the video. On the show, we always start with news. After we welcome everyone, we start with news and then we analyze the news and then we go to the subject matter of the day. I know you can't just wait to start to have a conversation. But before then, let me bring up our analysts. Two analysts already in the building. We have, first is Fee. Fee, good morning. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the last.
And this analyst we have that doesn't want to she just wants to stay young, forever young, grow young, look young, dance young.
It does a lot for the heart. It does a lot for the soul.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing up our One Woman Republic, dazzling and mazzling this Friday morning. Come on. Look at the face. Look at the swag. Look at the smile. Look at the air. Look at the chair. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. KK in the building. KK, are you there with all the hype? See KK now. Oh, KK, you're falling around. See, education big.
The things networkers.
Yeah, my network is acting up.
So we should say good morning, internet, just so we show.
Good morning, internet. Please let me be on the show today. I've been all week.
Fantastic. Welcome to the show. So we're going to go straight to the news. We're going to go straight to the news. I believe some of the things that are happening in society are things that will catch our attention. So the first news is from Abuad. That's Afe Babalola, I believe, Afe Babalola University. Abwad performs first endovascular abdominal surgery in Nigeria. Abwad.
This is great news. This is more of what we should be hearing from our universities. Cutting edge procedures, having innovations. This is a breath of fresh air. So kudos to Abuad, and hoping to hear more from them, not just stay on this one point and continue to celebrate past victories, but more innovations, more cutting into the seemingly impossible. We don't always have to get out of the country to access quality healthcare. We can have that on our soil. So this is really good. I'm hoping that other schools that have teaching hospitals, that have medical programs can be inspired by this, and that we have more good news coming out of our universities, not just strikes and lecturers this and other stuff that, but real good news that encourages people that really there is value in going to the university.
All right. Kiki, what's your take on that?
Oh yes, so it was absolutely amazing to see that headline. To be honest, I mean I haven't gone into the headline, but just seeing that, and it says recorded. It actually says the Afe Babalola University recorded another feat, right? So obviously this is something that they're doing just right along with what it had said. So constantly they're doing stuff quietly, but they're doing stuff to put them on the map. So yeah, I think those are the areas we should be looking at and saying, oh, what funding do they need? What expertise do they need? And then
Kiki, are you there?
hi, I'm here. I'm here. My net, guys, my network. I don't know what's going on, but I was saying that it's fantastic. What they should be looking at is how do they now begin to export their expertise to other teaching hospitals in Nigeria, so that we can build, together as much as possible.
Thank you so much. I for one believe that sometimes when we see situations like this, it kind of helps to raise the bar of quality, because most times you see that the reason people don't do things is not because they don't have the capacity or ability, but sometimes the motivation to do it or the agenda to do it might not be there. So it takes someone to disrupt the society or their sector, to now make it look like, you know what, you cannot claim that you know all this and not have more to show. So I'm excited about the news because it's almost going to stir up, how do I put it, this sportsmanship spirit, where everybody now also wants to know that we have the capacity to do stuff, and we're not going to keep our mouth shut and focus on other agenda. That's what I really am excited about. All right, so let's go to another news. I wish Grace was here, but let's talk about WAEC again. The news came up again. WAEC blacklist 165 schools for exam malpractice. We've actually had this before, but yeah, it is what it is. And then Senate Committee on Basic Education decries unassessed 41 billion naira UBEC funds. What do you guys have to say about that, Faye?
Okay, so I'm wondering how the funds are unassessed. I'm wondering if those who need the funds know that they are there, because like other sectors of our economy, education is one that really needs funding. And I can't imagine that people know that these funds exist and they don't access it. So is this a case of what usually happens with our systems, that the things are there and, well, for some people are playing some very funny pranks and keeping a lead on it, such that those now that the lead has been blown off by the Senate committee, so we know, so let's hope that the UBEC, whoever is in charge of the UBEC funds, is not there's not so much rush on them now that we know that there's 41 billion naira unassessed UBEC funds, and then we have we have schools, primary schools that need these funds. So first, I'll say thank you to the Senate committee for blowing this open and letting us know that those funds are there. And secondly, I'll say yes, it's time for those in the sector that need the service to plug into it. The opportunities there. Let's go take what's ours.
Welcome, Titi, to the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good
Morning.
Okay. Good morning, Fee.
Yeah, our network has been a bit. Well, Titi, what's happening to the volume? You're not in high spirits. What's happening?
Oh, sorry. I was trying to follow the headlines, of this UBEC. So I was trying to read the details. That's why I was.
I was almost saying that did you not catch enough sleep?
Nah, I can't enough.
Do you need some vacation?
No, I don't need vacation. I'm geared up, ready for today.
Okay, so when we talk about Senate Committee on Basic Education decrying unassessed 41 billion, there are many things that we need to also understand. UBEC actually will flow to SUBE, you understand? And if you are not careful, sometimes it's not as if when you get access to some funds, it's not as if those funds really go into proper development or proper transformation. So it's like you getting to have a child who discovers that mommy puts the pot of stew in a cupboard, and then because of that, then mommy wants and the child wants to get more access to the soup. Just because the soup is not going to be the interest, is the piece of meat. So I really don't bounce on those kind of things. Honestly, the Senate hasn't done anything special, because once they access the fund, the next thing is where does the fund go to what area, to what dimension, at what degree, to what expense. Yeah. So we have another news. Ojukwu Varsity begins program in native medicine. Titi, what's your take on that?
Well, honestly, when they put the native medicine, they are trying to build it. I think that's not fair. Because when I think of our growing up and what we call native medicine, it's just that we've not done the formal proving it. But I don't know any of you here that didn't drink agbo when you were growing up. If you were, not only did I drink it, I had my bath in it, I inhaled it.
Are
That's
you
how
serious?
much I'm telling you. That's how much my mom.
But did it work? Did it work?
Yes, it does. You see, the thing about these things that, like with all medicine, a lot of them are chemicals that have healing powers, which a lot of people know already. I think the difference is that we have not put a system to it. We have not modernized it, so to speak. It's the same thing how when we were young, we used to have our bath with black soap. Honestly, I hated that black soap when I was young. But you know what? Someone has come, they've done the liquid version of it now. I completely love it. And to me, it is wonderful for the skin. Someone else has done some of the things I hated about the black soap when I was young was the fact that it used to melt anyhow, and then a bit of the smell. But someone else has added a bit of things, funkinized it and really made it. And I tell you, black soap is wonderful for the skin. My nieces and nephew, my nieces in the UK are always asking, when you are coming, please bring some of this liquid black soap. So that's the same way I feel. I feel that we need to bring our, in quote, native medicine into the 21st century, do a bit more scientific research, to then be able to put it in well. We do have things, just that we've not gone into an analytical matter. So for me, I think it's a fine thing. They are, because all these healing things, to be honest, they are all in all these, a lot of these plants. It's just having the systematic approach to it, so that the quality is good, the packaging is good. I think it's, let's not think of native medicine in terms of juju, that's not what it is. There are some plants that they will give you then that the thing does wonders. And those things that if you take them abroad and they do the scientific one, they will find that truly. It's the same way when they say that yam has fertility attributes, which is why the people that eat yam the most have the highest set of twins worldwide. So the fact is that we haven't sat down and say, what in this yam is actually the fertility agent or the fertility chemical that we can then reproduce and do various things. We know all these things. So I think it's a good one, honestly, if you ask me.
Clean. You want to
Yeah,
add to that?
okay. On surface, it's funny first, like, oh, how do people say, what are you studying in school? Native medicine. Generally, the response is going to be like, oh, are you a herbalist? Are you a native doctor? But really, I align with a lot of what Mr. Adewusi has said, that yes, I for one discovered the black soap and shea butter, and I haven't spent money on any refined um, body care products since I found those products. They're absolutely wonderful. So yes, I don't. There's nothing wrong with our native medicine. I have a plant in the house that I pick up every morning and I eat. The only I chew on that leaf. The only issue that came up was in regulation. How do you know how much of this thing is enough? How do you know how much of this I need to take? And if we're having study in that line, along that direction, that is going to help us put these things in better packaging, that we know that what nature has given to us, we're making the best use of it, we're maximizing the use of it, then absolutely this is a fantastic idea. It just has to be better packaged so that it can reach the full potentials of the program.
Fantastic. I love that. Okay, so let's look at the next news, which is teaching not money making venture, says Educationist.
When I saw that headline, I didn't know what to say, but I went into the details. That's not what the person was saying. It was basically talking about how all the children are really about making money rather than learning. So that's really the angle it came from. I think you see, any business or anything anyone is doing that doesn't get funding or money isn't made out of it, it's a problem. It's not going to last. Unless there's nothing is free, and that's what I always want to tell people. There's nothing free. There's nothing like cheap education. There's nothing like cheap education. Quality education is not cheap. Someone can subsidize it, but the education in itself is not cheap. So, if it's not cheap, that means someone is funding it. And that source of fund needs to be sustainable. So, the story is the headline is a bit misleading. Education is a money-making venture. So for me, that's what it is. Someone must be giving the money and someone must be taking the money. But there's nothing like cheap education. There's quality education, and quality education is not cheap. It can be subsidized. So when you look at the Catholic education is good education. It's not cheap. The only difference is that it's subsidized. So when we think of education, let's not think about it has to be cheap, it has to be free. I get people telling me that all the time. But you're breaking games for children, education, it should be free now. In my mind, I'm like, how? I'm telling you, people say, oh, it's education, it should be free. After all, everybody should have access. It's a basic human right. I'm like, how now? Do you understand? Am I not going to pay my staff? Do you understand? Where I'm hosting and whatever, am I not going to pay them money? You know? So I just want, let me just say that education is not cheap. Education should be, a basic human right. But the important thing to know that it's not cheap. Someone still has to pay. Someone has to pay. And if we need to get that idea out of our mind that education, it should be affordable, should be cheap.
No, the first thing that people need to realize is that what you just said is actually anchored on a principle that goes beyond teaching or education. Quality always costs. That's just it. So if you're now looking at quality education, it will cost. If you're looking at quality life, it will cost. If you're looking at quality product, it will cost. Quality has a resonance with cost. It will always cost you. And so that's why sometimes when people say expensive is a relative term. You know, what someone would call expensive to A is not expensive to B. Not necessarily because one is earning much more, but it's based on interpretation, prioritization, importance, and functionality. So that's it, really. Yeah. Finn, you want to say something?
Yeah, it's good that the headline is actually not what the educationist said, but headlines like this are what chases people away from the education sector. Headlines like this are what makes people say, no, I don't want to be a teacher. No, I don't want to be a school owner. No, and these are people who have the quality to offer, but nobody wants to go through life offering free services to everybody. So yeah, I'll just say that maybe our media needs to get some better education with capturing their headlines so that we don't keep pushing narratives like this and giving people the wrong opinion about different sectors and different subjects.
Thank you so much. Then let's look at this controversy, how hijab controversy threatens Kwara's harmony. We still have that.
Wasn't this a news we talked about the day before?
Yeah, it's coming up again.
In the
I
news.
think my comments on it same as before. That's what I'll just say, same as before.
Okay, so let's move on to.
I wanted us to take the news on how far should your child's school be from home.
How far
should your child's school be from home?
Okay.
I would like to have Finn's thoughts on that. Okay, Finn, in Africa, and they don't live in the middle of the night in that place. So maybe
you know it's not Dr. Zibadan, but she's in Lagos at the moment.
Please don't mind me. Just over to you.
Okay, so really the child's school, I believe, should not be too far away from the house. It should be minimum of just maybe you need just one vehicle away for those who are going to go by public transport, because one of the things that affects children maybe settling down and with their assimilation, their rate of assimilation could be the commute time to school. So if school is too far away, it means most of the time they have less sleep. They're sleeping either very early and missing out on other activities in the day. They just get home from school and that cycle, do your homework, get the lesson teacher comes around. The next thing you're going straight to bed because you need to wake up early to be able to get to school on time. And then we're cutting short their childhood. We're cutting out the fun. We're cutting out the experiences that they should have. So the closer the school is to the house, for me, it's the closer, the better it is for the child. The less pressure on the parents, the less pressure on the child themselves. The child is able to fully maximize their potential. They're not getting to school and they're tired, or because they're sleep deprived, they're not getting the most of it, and then other issues begin to come out of that. So we begin to say, oh, this child is lagging behind, and pile them with much more work, pile them with much more extra academic sessions, and then we haven't tackled what the real problem is. So really, for me, the school should not be too far from the house.
Kitty, are you there?
Yes, I am. I mean, I completely agree. You know me, I love sleep. I'm already so when I was working on the island, it was a major challenge, that early morning commute. But even with that, I'm not sure I ever left my house before 7. So I find it a challenge. I used to be amazed at people that I get to the office, they're in their car, they are sleeping, because they got to the office at about 5:36 to beat the traffic in their area. They now sleep in the car, in their car for the next 2 hours. Um, I can imagine doing this for like 6 months, a year. It doesn't seem it seems as if it's manageable, once the time is not long. But if someone is starting out in primary one, and that means the person is going to do that for 6 years, or the person is starting out in year, GSS one, and the person is going to do that for 6 years, that's why I have those issues. So I feel that if ever we do this long commute, it's a short-term thing. It shouldn't be a long-term thing. If for one reason or the other you have to change schools, let's say I suddenly have to move to the island, but my child is in year 5, primary 5, I might want her to complete it before fully changing house. But I'm against anything that'll make your child leave home, honestly, before 7. I think it's a lot. I think it's a whole lot. And then remember that it's not the one direction, it's both directions. So it means that the child, especially when they're in secondary school, if they close at 3, they won't get home to 5. When would they do the homework? When would they, go to bed, only to wake up again so early? So that cycle is a bit, I think, is a bit harsh, for children, especially for a long period of time. I can only, for circumstances one way or the other, I would only support that for a short period. But even with that, I think leaving home at 5 a.m., leaving home at, let me even dash and say anything before 7:15 is just too early for the children. How many hours sleep would they have gotten? The recommended hours of sleep for kids are 9 hours. 9. So if the child is to wake up at 6, it means that the child has gone to bed at 9, right? And if that child is just getting back to home at 5, secondary school now, especially, there's plenty homework. When will the child sleep? When will the child rest? It's a vicious cycle that I feel that is starting too early. You, they said the Finnish people say that they finish school early. They do because they need to ensure the child has time. So when you have jam packed all the I see them in the school buses sleeping, because they came to pick them up at 5 a.m. They came to pick them up at 6 a.m. So let's bring them closer home.
Thank you so much for that. Honestly, this is where people now realize that education and school, they are integral components that we must not take for granted. Because for this to really happen, then you cannot take away town planning, land regional geographical planning as well. Because a lot of times, siting schools must be based on factors like where you look at residential areas, when you look at house connectivity and network, when you look at new town development schemes, there should be provision. So, for example, how many schools adequately should serve Surulere and its environs? How many schools should adequately be in Yaba? That's when they now meet with stakeholders and they meet with the ministry. Look, this particular area needs about 200 schools to feed the growing community. Then the ministry can now act as a regulator and an enabler to say, you know what, we can talk to schools who are looking, or people who are trying to register school, can tell them about preferred location based on their grade type of school. How many schools should be in Lekki Phase 1? Being that Lekki Phase 1 probably has over 25,000 houses with a commercial/residential approach. So those are things that really, it's not guesstimation. It's not, oh, because I found land cheap or because I found property cheap. You know, people need data to be able to help business setups. You know, that's what will really help, because even the public schools, the parameter for setting up a public school is that your public school must not be far from an health center, more or less. Like there should be an health center for every situated public school. So if walking to an health center is very far for you, then it's almost like a yardstick. You cannot set a school farther than that. But you know, the reality is that before you get to a health center, it takes a long time. So children should be able to walk to school themselves, which is part of the discovery, critical thinking, building them to exposure and getting them to be independent early enough. People should be able to ride bicycles to their school. But that will be based on if the area is safe, if they're within their area of domain and area that they're familiar with, if they can easily point by 2 to 3 directions how to get home if they were lost. But you see, Ministry of Education doesn't speak with land and geographical planning. If they do, they don't showcase those things. So people set up schools, you know, with an enrollment dynamics that is a pressure already. So that's why in enrollment drive, there are certain things that you shouldn't be worried about if you set up a school on a normal day. You shouldn't be worried about. There are certain adverts or certain marketing strategy you shouldn't even stress yourself with. Why? Because just by positioning, your school was set up based on intelligence. You had intelligence that you are set up equidistant to 400 houses. So you know how to market that. And then those who now come as spillover based on interest, based on peculiarities, they are doing so based on their, but the conventional way, you know. So that's what really, really we need to look at. I don't know if that made sense to anybody.
It does.
I agree with you.
All right. So let's see. Let's take one more news and then we'll start conversation. Thank
Rotimi,
you
we
to
don't have
those.
to know. I don't think we can take any more news.
Okay, so let's start. Nature versus nurture, the self-development dilemma. I want Spain to start off with this today. So we've been talking a lot about developing ourselves professionally, and we've also interjected to personal development. So what comes to your mind when we talk about nature versus nurture, especially with the subject matter of self-development?
So when it comes to developing oneself, many times we tend to stay in our comfort zone. We tend to stay in those places where we don't need to do any extra. So if there's a course, I know there was sometime, was it December? I think December, there were some courses I saw that I was given free slots to bring in some people. And then I reached out to 2 people. The course was supposed to be on Zoom. And I reached out to 2 people. Oh, I have free slots for you. First of all, they had never heard about Zoom, which was strange to me because these are people I believed were young and vibrant. They had never heard about Zoom. Okay, not a problem. I put them through. This is how you do it. This is how you just download, install. And after giving them a step by step, one of them told me, "Oh, the Wala is too much, please. When there's something simpler, please let me know." Definitely, when something else comes up, I'm not wasting my time talking to that person because I didn't see them making the move. I didn't see them wanting to come out of their comfort zone and say, "Oh, if this is going to add to me, if this is going to be something that makes me better, I'm ready to go all the way. I'm ready to put in what it takes." Sometimes we stay in that place of, this is who I am. This is what my temperament is. This is the kind of person I am. These are the kind of things I like. If we have to stay in the place of what is comfortable, what is convenient, what we like, then we're not likely to develop ourselves a whole lot. But with nurture, you learn certain things. You realize I am one painfully shy person. I don't like crowd like that of people that rather be in the background. But over time, I have realized that this doesn't augur well for for the vision I have for myself. So it's about adding education in different parts, adding to myself and saying, what can I do to work on these weaknesses? What can I do to combat this thing that seems like a disadvantage for me? And then move forward, complementing that with who I am naturally. Yes, there are some things that I'm best suited for, and with extra tools, it's like sending somebody to war and then arming them with the tools they need. So you have better confidence. I know that yes, this I can play in this field. I can deploy my knowledge in this field, but because I have added something extra, because I have nurtured the latent skills or the latent possibilities in me, then I'm better able to be productive. I'm better able to um, overcome limitations and challenges. I'm better able to be somebody who can contribute meaningfully to the department and not to the community, and not staying in one corner and looking at others and cheering them up and going, oh God, when. No, it's not going to be that, being in that victim headspace, but saying, oh, I know what my shortcomings are. I know the things that militate against me. I know, probably because of where I was born, probably because of my color, probably because of whatever, because of my gender, certain things are already militating against me, but I am not going to allow those things have the upper hand. I'm going to take the bulls by the horn and then add something more to myself and polish up my skills.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm sure a lot of people know that when it comes to self-development, um, it's almost like a wide spread. It's like a wide net, and I want us to zone in on the aspect of nature versus nurture. And I know that we've heard this thing sometimes where we keep
Hello. Are you there? Okay. I wanted to know
I'm
if
here. I was wondering if it was my network. I'm here.
that's the funny thing about network. When something happens, you don't know if it's your own. You just want, maybe it's my network. But to me, you broke off
Yeah.
once.
but can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you
Yes,
now.
I can.
Okay, so I'm saying that sometimes people say that what, I'm a hustler. I love to hustle. I come from the streets, and what it's kind of tilting towards is that they are made up, or they rose up based on not nature, right? Happenstance, life happens. I'm just I had to rough it. All these things, right? People sometimes got to be very good at business, not because they were nurtured into developing themselves, but they were left to the reality of nature. The reality of ground was man must chop, and they just had to brace up. How do we juxtapose that to the reality of today, right? Where a lot of the things that globalization is tilting towards is requesting that we get nurtured. So almost like you want to do business, now everybody's saying that there's the digitalization of that. How do you digitize area boys? How do you digitize area boyism? How do you digitize street hustling? What is nature versus nurture in this position? Titi?
I think I like when we're talking about nature versus nurture the last time. I like the example someone gave that makes it very graphic. So imagine if you have 100 maize seed and just throw it on the ground. Some will grow, some will not grow. As against where you have a field where you break the ground, mix it with manure, careful with the spacing. You understand? You're careful with the spacing. You do everything. You ensure it's water. You ensure it's fenced away from animals eating it. If you compare the two, right, the one that where you just threw the seeds and this one that was nurtured, it actually gives us the answer. The level of growth that will be between the difference will be very more, because there's a difference between the intentional, which is the nurturing, and the nature, which is leaving to chance. Remember that when you leave to chance, wild animals can come and eat it. People passerby still can come, but people can, it can be on on the pathway. And that's really what I want to use to talk about this nature versus nurture. There is nothing, the things that happen per chance, they are just so few. You will not get the maximum results from it. So if you just go and just say, you know what, let's just drop some children here, and by nature, you drop them inside the computer room, so they will learn digital skills. It's not that. It's not so. One or two may learn, but the 20 that you put in, you will not get the benefit. On Compared to when you drop them in that, you have a very clear plan for them for the duration. It's different. And so when we bring it down to your personal development, if you are waiting for somebody, then you are like the person that they are casting the maize seed. Do you understand? It might happen, it might not happen. As against having a very specific plan for yourself. At the end of this year, I want to know how to do this. At the end of this, I want to know how to do this. Because I want to know how to do what trainings are there. And I always say it, before you even go and look for paid training, go and look for free training. Do you understand? Before you say you want to do someone's paid training, go and listen to his free ones first. So you say, okay, I'll get value. Oh, what I'm looking for is here. And last year alone, I will say it over and over again, the number of opportunities to develop yourself were numerous. Even before last year, if you go for places like Tose, the annual Tose event, they used to have speakers come and speak. It was a free event. They had speakers come and speak, and you could learn free things. I remember learning as I teach late. The whole of not 2020, but in 2019, they were doing free trainings once a month? Once a month for 100 teachers. They did it. I know the whole of 2019 they did it. So someone that goes there month in, month out cannot be someone that I was walking past the streets of social media and I saw one thing and I opened it. Unlike someone that is very intentional and say, you know what, every month I'm either reading a book, every month I'm learning about this. This is an area I want to improve on. So I look at, and I'll give myself as an example. So as I started business, and when we stay in Nigeria, I realized that, what, an area that I really needed to work on was in terms of my sales and marketing skills. I felt that of all my skill sets, those were my lowest. So what did I go and do? I was intentional in things that I was joining. I first of all joined a number of free trainings. I then did paid ones. I joined a number of newsletters. Bought a number of books. So I'm very intentional. Now, when I was having a chat with someone, and she was like, wow, you know so much thing on this marketing. I don't want to tell her that this is, someone that has been intentional in it. Different from if you had met me back a year or two ago, when I felt that this was an area that my skill set was very low. So that is nature. I could have left it to nature. I might still be maybe I would have moved 2 steps away from where I was. But now I've been very intentional about it. So that nature versus nurture, that's the difference. So one will take you 2 steps, another one will take you 100 steps.
Fantastic. So in self-development, I think judging or taking from what you said, what should be the priority and what should be the goal, right? Understanding that self-development is probably also the means to an end. What should be the priority? What should be the goal? Faye, I'm going to start with you. I'm coming back to TT afterwards.
Okay, so the goal should be, for me, between nature and nurture would be nurture. Really, these two things, we're not really pitting them against each other. There should be a handshake between nature and nurture. But if there has to be a priority, it should be the nurture, because that's like taking the diamond out of the rough and polishing it and making it so much better and making it more appealing, increasing the value. Every individual should look to increasing the value and not just that they provide, but the way they are assessed, the way they are seen. So really, for me, we should be looking more at, and nurture doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be bank breaking. It doesn't have to be a lot about certificates. Yes, we are a society that is so hung up on certificates. Everybody wants to say, oh, I'm doctor, I have 3 PhDs, I have this, and and then you put them to the test and they fall flat on their faces. That is still not um, nurture. That's still not intentional nurture for me. It's just us having a long list of, oh, these are my achievements. But where we pick up, we put our diamonds through the process of refining, through the process of, look, there's a free course. There are so many free courses that we can take from. It doesn't even have to be in an area you're knowledgeable about. Just to be able to say, yes, I can be flexible, I can contribute meaningfully to different aspects of discussion, to different aspects of development. Why not take the plunge and put the priority on the nurture, not really on the nature. The nature is the rough. Let's let's uh let's polish it and make the output much better.
Thank you. Um, so now, Titi, can you just try to take it a step higher? Still on the same question, but now from a different perspective, right? So I want to develop myself, but then to what end am I developing myself? I'm listening to Titi, I'm listening to Finn. I love what you guys are saying. I look at your lives, I love what you guys are doing. What exactly would be the why for me? What can you just share that kind of perspective with me?
What's the why is everybody's starting point. You can't develop yourself if you don't know where you're going. And that's I think that's where people are stuck. That's why they're not developing themselves. They have no goals, they have no ambition. It's hard to develop yourself when you don't have a why. you know and the work of that's why I like that quote that says that the work of education is really to ignite the spark, which is why for some people they need a coach. When you are floating through life, it's not every I always tell people that very few people have it all together. Most people are like me. Most of us are like we are the same. We don't know what we want in the beginning. We usually need the guidance of someone to spark the light, and usually you need to go to that place. So that if you look at when you are in university, how many people in university had it all together? They're already looking for where to look for a job, the kind of job they look for. Few of us are like that, or most of us are like me. When I finished university, my plan was just thank God university has finished. Let me just relax. Let me chillax. When I went for NYC and people are looking for the serious ones, I already selected some people in university already start applying for work. I was one of those people who mine was just to say, we finish university, let's just chillax. NYC, let's see where they will post us. I was surprised that when I then came back on redeployment, people had gotten jobs in a number of places. I'm like, but when did you do all these things? I just got, posting to my mom's shop. That's how I did my initial NYC, posting to my mom's shop. Meanwhile, some people and it was later when I found out some people from university days that already started looking for the likes of Anderson and KPMG. Like, which company? I've never heard of those companies. What are they? So very few of us have goals. Very few of us have it all together, know where we want to go. We just get a job and we're just floating through it. A lot of us are like that. So what we need to do, and then somebody says, I don't know what my passions are. I don't know what I want to do. That's fine. Most of us are like that, though. Those people that have it all together, they are few. But once you realize you don't know, you don't have a goal, you need to then go and start attending webinars and seminars and conferences that help guide. One of the best things that happened to me was my church was organizing a business seminar. And one of the people that they got to speak was Brian Tracy. So Brian Tracy was in Nigeria for a while, and then he came to my church to then speak to people about business. As I listened to him, I was already working in somewhere. He was one of the first people that put a spark in terms of, Titi, look for something that you want to solve. Look for something that you're passionate about. He gave a way to find those things, and that was the first spark. After that, I now made a more conscious effort to attend a lot of the business seminars that the church used to do. Before, when they're announcing it, it's not for me. After that, I now started attending them. Then it started helping me mold my goals. And then from molding my goals, I then was very clear on what I needed, help and nurturing. So the first thing for me is really that you have to have goals. And those goals, you might not even know them. As if anybody is out there listening, you might not know them. But it's fine if you don't know them. Then you then need to say, where are the places I can go that can then help me in the directions of knowing my goals? Where are the coaches that I can go and listen to that can help me in the directions of my goal? And then from there, you then know what you need to nurture that will help the achievement of your goals.
Fantastic. I'd like to welcome Osai. Osai, it's been a while, all the way from Edo State. Thank you for joining. Good morning. I'd like to welcome Tomiwa Ogudu. Thank you for joining, and thank you for your comment. I'd like to welcome Chinyere, Princess of Four, always a faithful tribe member. Thank you for joining. Thank you for connecting with us. I also like to use the opportunity to welcome Ijoma Ejikeme. Thank you for joining us. And of course, to Florence Ojeomi, thank you for joining as well. We'd like to thank Esther Nambiogwait from Abuja. Thank you for joining. And one or two more people before we go back to the question. All right, so thank you all. For those of you that have sent in your comment, thank you for joining. We appreciate your connecting with us. This is the Good Morning Education Show. And of course, we're speaking on a very interesting topic, nature versus nurture, the self-development dilemma. Now, I want to ask this question, probably might be our second to the last question, or maybe our last question, depending on how we take it. So I'm starting with Fee. Now, Fee, you're a mentor or you're a coach, and you have like some people that you're coaching, and you notice that on their path to their greatness or on their path to whatever they have identified as what they need to do, you notice that there's a need for them to get wired for that thing. It's like saying you want to grow an industry. Fine, fantastic, your dreams are valid. But you notice that some of the people, as much as they've painted a good dream for what they want to pursue, there are certain things that require self-development, as in, that, look, you have to be groomed for this. What best way would you approach, getting them to doing that part, and knowing fully well that they could be opinionated, or it's not going to be easy because it's going to stretch them. Sometimes there are some personal development pursuits that will stretch you. What would you say, and how would you go about that?
Okay, so they need some courage. They need some courage, and maybe I'll be pointing them in the direction of the courage coach. But okay, really, the best way to learn is to do. So those things that would stand in the way of them being the best of who the best version of themselves, I would really encourage them to put themselves in the middle of that sea, get in the middle of that ocean and ride the waves. I would really, ask them to look for opportunities that will challenge their opinion, because sometimes being opinionated and our opinion does not really, sometimes being in that space is because it's not beyond what we can see. It's because of what our minds can what our minds can conceive at the time. So yes, I would ask them, suggest to them to find these areas, avenues where they can where their thinking can be challenged, where their opinions can be challenged, where they can put their opinion side by side with other people, with other opinion out there, productive ones, and see if I have to move this idea, if I have to move this goal, this project, if I have to be more than I am right now, what do I need to do? So yes, I would put them maybe in the between the shallow and the deep end, and let them do for themselves those things that they're running away from. In one phrase, I will just tell them to face their tiger.
Wow, that's quite profound. I love the way you put it. You said that the best way to learn is to do. I'm going to ask Titi the same question, but I also want Titi to sign it up and tie it up in what would be that one word message to a mentee or a coach. I mean, by a coach to a mentee who is pretty much in the valley of indecision. Where do I go from here? What would that one word message be?
What go from what I think the first thing you need to discover your goal. What do you want to achieve? That's the one word message. So that's the challenge. People say, oh, I meet people all the time and they're like, how did you know you wanted to start this? How did you know this was your passion? How did you know? I will tell you the same thing Brian Tracy said, and I find that works all the time. He said, get out a notebook, and then everything that you complain about, keep writing it down. Because our passions are somewhere in there. When when you always complain about, I don't like the way this person arranges this thing, it also shows that you're into that thing. And that's really what he said. So I started coming up with a list of things that I don't like. When you don't like the way you don't like how NEPA does this, you don't like the way this each of us have different things that we are very particular about, very problems that we particularly complain about. And then he now says, look at all those things and see the ones that you are passionate about in terms of you might have the skill set to solve, and how many people have that problem. And that was it for me. So that's how I always tell people. So she says, after I sat down, because what, I really like the counseling I do in church for teenagers. I said, so maybe that's really where your passion is aligned. Start thinking about it, start exploring it. And then some people say, what I really like about telling people about how to plan their meals, if they are hosting people. I'm like, okay, so you need to look into that. So it's a lot of things that you complain about. Some people is that when they come to your house, they know how to just help you. No, I think you should have put this chair here. I should, do this. They'll put, and the next thing they've transformed your house. So it's really about the things that you're particular about, you complain a lot about, because it means that those are things you notice and comes to your attention, and then see how you can bring value to solving those problems. Okay, I think that's enough of the one word for me.
All right. Tochi is saying hello. Tochi, thank you for your treat. And it was well appreciated. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tochi. That was an awesome treat.
All right. So
Rotimi, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well done. I like the packaging.
The packaging.
But thank you. Thank you. My husband and son have already said one to the thing before.
Okay, so as we end the show, I just hope everyone that's been listening understands that self-development is something that you must really pursue with all that you have, because really it goes a long way in amplifying the results that you have and that the results that you need. And if there's one word message I'm going to end with on today's show, is the word go. Is the word go. You need to go ahead and do something, go ahead and move forward, go ahead and push forward, because there's so many counsels in our minds, so many advice, so many do this, do that. We're so nurtured into being jellyfishes. We need more of commands. For those who have been counseled, you've been counseled long enough. You need a command in your life. You don't need a counsel. You need the word go. Go and do something. Go and apply it. Go and write it down. Go and start it out. And as you go from the show today, go and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to my channel, yeah. Go and like our video. That's another command. Go share the video. Go follow Titi, follow Fee, follow Gochi, follow Jude, follow Safety Chick, follow Rhoda, follow Ifyok, follow KK. Go. There must be a reasonable amount of go in your life. And when that is there, it sets you apart and it sets you free. And you understand that you're on a path of development, right? I'm afraid this is where we have to stop on the show today. Thank you, Titi. Thank you, Finn. Thank you, Rotimi, for everything. It feels like I'm talking to myself. Anyways, so ladies, let's take it off from here as end for the week.
It's
always
a great
morning.
Awesome, wonderful, glorious.
On the Good Morning Education Show.
Hi, Gochi. It's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. Always a surprising morning.
All right, enjoy yourself. Have a cup of tea is a must in this period. Enjoy yourself. Have a great weekend.
With our banana bread.
With your Titi, you are in the spirit. Chop. All right, bye everyone.